Hey guys, Fury here from Tempo Storm, and welcome to my first ever video guide. Today we're going to be talking about Arthas Lich King. Now Arthas, he's definitely changed a lot since maybe you've last remember him. I don't know if you've been playing recently, but he recently got a lot of new changes, and a lot of them were for the best. He definitely was a little overtuned, but they've managed to tune him down by now. But right now, I think he's in a really good place, and I think he's really strong, and I'm happy to see where he is right now in the meta. So, without further ado, let's hop in and get to this guide. In this guide, we'll be discussing Arthas' pros and cons, abilities, talent builds, and gameplay analysis through replays. First things first, let's talk about the pros and cons. Arthas' pros is he's very tanky and has a lot of self-sustain through his own abilities. Another pro is he can stick on a target very well just by using his Frozen Tempest and just walking at them. It provides a huge amount of slow that stacks up to 40%, and it also reduces their attack speed up to 40%, which is also a really good counter to Greymane, Illidan, and Zul'jin, making him one of the only tanks that can provide a lot of pressure on heavy auto attack heroes. He also provides a soft counter to heroes such as Valeera, Zeratul, Nova, because just by activating Frozen Tempest is breaking them out of stealth, which a lot of the time they will want to be in their stealth mode. So that's just another plus in having Arthas. He's also probably the best warrior that can deal a lot of damage to pressure other warriors in the front line, or you can also have him pressure the back line. So if you can ever get your Arthas positioned in the back line, then he can provide a lot of damage compared to any other warrior. I think he has the most damage output, so that's also very nice to have for a tank. His first con that I've noticed is him not having a gap closer, such as having a power slide like ETC or Muradin with his Dwarf Toss, means he can't really get on the target as soon as possible. Once he wants to get on that target, he's gonna have to ramp up to get to that target. So he's gonna have to either luckily sneak through their front line to get on that target, or just land a Howling Blast and then just start, Howling Blast and then run at them with your E. Just stick on them for the remaining of the fight. Arthas has troubles versus heroes that want to keep their distance while doing damage, such as Lunara, Jaina, Falstad, and Gul'dan. All four of those heroes have ways to just kite Arthas, but also doing damage. So Lunara, she has base movement speed while attacking and applying a slow. So that's pretty annoying against Arthas. And then Jaina, just having slows with her Frostbolt, can keep her at a distance while doing damage to Arthas. And then you got Gul'dan, who's just, yeah, you can get caught. If you're caught on Gul'dan, you're pretty much dead against an Arthas. But if you are well experienced Gul'dan and you know how Arthas wants to play, you can poke him with all your abilities, and yeah, you could just out-sustain the damage on Arthas. And also you have the Fear, which is really a hard counter to Arthas if you land it right. Now let's look at Arthas' basic abilities. His first basic ability will be his trait, which is Frostmourne Hungers. It has a 12-second cooldown, and it makes Arthas auto-attack instantly right after attacking once. So what you can do is combo, you're auto-attacking like this, and then you combo and press D quickly, and then you get another attack. It increases the damage and also restores 30 mana, so it's a pretty nice ability to have. It helps a lot with his other abilities because he's definitely mana deprived if he spans his other abilities. So it's a pretty good trait on him. I like it. Alright, so now his Q ability, Death Coil. 9-second cooldown. You do damage to a target, or you can use it on yourself to heal. So this is one of his self-sustain abilities I was talking about. So here you can just throw it, hit the target, it does damage. Pretty simple. And then let's do the cooldown. So if you take damage, you can cast your Death Coil on yourself, and it's a heal. So very, very handy to help. You could either use it to, you know, DPS a target down, or, you know, if you're doing a camp, you can use it on the camp. Or if you just need to just heal yourself, you can always just toggle it on yourself so you can have your support heal other targets instead of you. So it's just always a nice option to have to either do damage or heal yourself. I think having this ability on Arthas is probably amazing for a tank. I like it a lot. The second ability is Howling Blast. 10-second cooldown. It roots an enemy in the target area for 1.25 seconds and does some damage. So here you see, there we go. You see the range and the area it's gonna hit. So you just throw it, target an area. It has a pretty slow missile speed. That's the only downfall. It takes a little while to land, to travel to the target. So if you have someone running from you, you're gonna have to aim it ahead of them. As like you just have to guess where they're gonna be while it's like channeling. So you know you're running and then you gotta throw it. So it's pretty much a guessing game. It's a pretty good ability. It can hit multiple targets, which is also nice. So if you're in a team fight and you know you see some targets clumped up, you can use it and it will root multiple targets in that area. Nice ability to have. It's always, you know, great to have CC as a warrior, because I think that's the most important part of a tank is having CC. So even though it's not a stun, which I think is the best CC, having a root's just as good. His next ability is Frozen Tempest. Drains 15 mana per second while it's toggled on. And it deals damage in an area and also reduces the movement speed and attack speed of a target up to 40%, which is pretty insane right now in this meta because there's a lot of auto attack heroes who, you know, just need to auto attack, and usually you want to stick your Arthas on that target. You want them to just sit on top of them and do damage. So it's a really nice ability. The only downfall is, yeah, you have to be next to them in order for the debuffs to start applying. But once you start like ramping the movement speed debuff, they really can't get away from you unless they have like an escape ability like Barrel Roll on Falstad or Vault on Vala. So yeah, his good thing is once you're next to them, you know, they're pretty much yours. But if they're far away, it's going to be a little hard to get these stacks rolling on them. And then his first heroic ability we'll look at is Army of the Dead. So we'll click that. You summon ghouls and you sacrifice a ghoul, healing you for however much health at whatever level. So it's an 80-second cooldown. Before the rework or whatever they did to him, it used to be 100 seconds. So now bumping it down to 80 seconds is actually huge. Like 20 seconds is a big difference in a game. So having it reduced is always nice. So you know, you're fighting something, taking some damage, and you want to pop army. So they're fighting for you, and then if you just click R again, keep spamming the R, you know, you could start sacrificing them, and then they'll start healing you. So very, very nice heroic just to have self-sustain. The only downfall of this is the ghouls can die. So let's say you pop army, and then they have a Malfurion, and he just decides to use his Twilight Dream that silences and damages around him. So if Malf silences you, you know, you can't click and spam R while you're silenced, and since it does damage, usually it kills your ghoul. So any AoE damage is a really hard counter to this heroic. But overall, I think 90% of the games you should definitely take Army of the Dead. And then we will reset the talents here. Just gonna pick random talents. So second heroic ability is Summon Sidrigosa. Deals damage, slows, and then the biggest thing about this ult is it disables structures for 20 seconds. Yes. So what you want to do, usually when you're pushing, you have a huge objective, you just line it up. See, that's how far, that's how it'll tell you what's going to hit. So you want to line it up, mainly just to hit the fort, or you can hit the towers. So you want to line up, you throw it, Sidrigosa will go. and now these towers are disabled, so you can free push with Syndragosa. You got 20 seconds, which is more than enough time to take down buildings. So usually if you take this ult, it means you want to snowball an objective. So let's say you have an Immortal on, I can't remember, Battlefield of Eternity, that's the map. If you have an Immortal pushing, let's say you just hit level 10, and it's a pretty healthy Immortal, you can snowball your lead just by casting Syndragosa on the structures. So by doing that, it puts a lot of pressure on the heroes because they get slowed, and also it disables their towers. So you will end up having a pretty healthy Immortal as long as your team can back up the Immortal after you throw out the Syndragosa. So it's a very niche pick ult, but I think most of the time you will end up going ghouls. But you know, Syndragosa, she definitely has her place, and I've used her in the past and had a lot of success. So it just depends on the map and then how your playstyle goes and just how the game's rolling. If you want to snowball harder, you go Syndragosa. But if it's going to be an even game, or maybe you're behind, you have to go ghouls, in my opinion. Next, we'll be discussing Arthas' talents and the builds that I think you should mostly go 90% of the time. And, you know, the common builds you will be seeing me use in HGC and any other matches you'll see online. So here at level 1, we got Eternal Hunger, Frost Presence, and Rhyme. Usually I take Rhyme here. I think it gets the most value. You get 60 physical armor for every 5 seconds, up to 3 charges, meaning you take 60% reduced damage from auto attackers. So heroes like Greymane, Vala, Raynor, Zul'jin, you know, every 5 seconds you get a charge that will reduce the damage from their auto attacks. So it's pretty good value, and you know, it goes to show he's a pretty good counter to any auto attack hero. So Blizzard's done a good job showing what kind of tank Arthas wants to be. The only alternative would be Frost Presence. So it's a quest that you want to stack up. So the more heroes you land with your Frost Presence, you know, the more stacks you get. And you know, in the actual game, it will take a while to get 20 heroes with the Howling Blast. So that's the only downfall of this, is when, you know, you're roaming around as Arthas, you're gonna want to stack this quest. That's the downside. Like you're gonna be throwing your roots randomly, even if it's not for a kill, just to throw it out, just because you need to get this quest stacked ASAP, because it will add a huge power spike once you get the huge reward. The 10 heroes hit, that's a pretty good value with the reward, but once you get 20, it gets its full value. So it's kind of a risk, but if you really don't need Rhyme, if they're like all mages and stuff like that, then I think it'd be okay to go Frost Presence. But just keep in mind, like, you want to early levels either use your Frost or Howling Blast to get a kill, or just use it randomly to get stacks, and then you will have to let your team know that you don't have your CC up because you gotta use it to get stacks. So that's the only downfall to it, but other than that, it's a decent talent to pick it for secondary. But for this guy, we'll be going Rhyme. Level 4, we got Frozen Waste, Icy Talent, and Deathlord. I always use, most of the time, yeah, I go Frozen Waste. It reduced the mana cost of your Frozen Tempest by 4 each second, so that's already you know, it's got value right there. And then the quest is by damaging heroes with Frozen Tempest, and after damaging heroes 150 times with it, it leaves a lingering effect, meaning once they're out of your range, so this is the range for the spell, and once they leave the range, they are still slowed for 1.5 seconds for the however long they were stuck in it. So with this talent, once you complete it, it's going to be very, very difficult for heroes without escapes, such as Barrel Roll or Vault on Vala, stuff like that. It's going to be really difficult for them to escape once you complete this quest. So I think this is the choice for level 4. The alternative would be Deathlord, which is reducing the cooldown of your Death Coil by 3 seconds, which it's already a pretty low cooldown. 9 seconds is low, but 6 seconds, that's a pretty low cooldown. So that's also okay to go. It just depends on the fights and stuff like that. The range is, it's a small bonus. If you want to snipe a hero that's low health, you might be able to get the kill with Death Coil. And yeah, it's pretty satisfying once you see a kill with that range. But for this guide, we will go Frozen Waste. Level 7, you got Rune Tap, Immortal Coil, and Icebound Fortitude. I always go Icebound. I think it's the best choice here. You use it, you activate it, it's a 35-second cooldown. You get 25 armor, meaning reducing all damage taken by 25% for 3 seconds. And also, it reduces the duration of stuns, slows, and roots. So it's a pretty good talent. Blizzard's been tweaking with this for quite a while before. It used to be like 50 seconds and then 40 seconds, and now it's down to 35 seconds. So you can use it a lot more frequently, which is pretty nice. So it's definitely, if they have a lot of CC, you can always like predict if like ETC is gonna slide on you or Kael'Thas's gonna land his stun on you. You can press this button quickly, and then all that will get reduced by 75%, while also reducing the damage taken. So it's a really nice talent. I think it's the best on this tier. The alternative I would go is Immortal Coil, and this synergizes pretty well if you decide to go the Death Lord because of the reduced cooldown on it. Now with Immortal Coil, you can damage a hero with it, and it'll bounce back and give you the same healing effect as if you would just use it on yourself. But I think what's the best part about this talent is the 50% additional healing on yourself. So I think it's really nice having a lot more sustain for yourself, and 50% more for your Death Coil. Like, that's pretty huge. So right here, it already heals for 574, so heal, over 200 for that, just with that talent. So it's pretty good. I like that talent, but I think the choice here is Icebound. So here we have the level 10s, your heroic abilities. First one, you got Army of the Dead, and then you got Summon Sindragosa. Now, I explained before, the Valley is Sindragosa, so it's very niche pick, but I think almost every game you should definitely go Army of the Dead, mainly because the cooldown has been reduced by 20 seconds. Prior to, it used to be 100 seconds alongside Sindragosa, but I think right now in this meta, Army is definitely the best talent to go here, so we're gonna pick Army. Level 13, you got Shattered Armor, Frost Strike, Biting Cold. Shattered Armor, I think this talent would be really good if you end up going the level 1 W quest. So once you stack it up to 20, it will root every hero in its path. So you can end up hitting multiple heroes, and then with Shattered Armor, it reduces their armor by 15, so they take 15% extra damage, which is pretty nice for 4 seconds. So that's not a bad talent. Frost Strike, nothing too special. I don't see the point in this one. But I think here the talent is Biting Cold. Each second enemy is damaged by Frozen Tempest. It deals increased damage up to 50% bonus. So with this build, Frozen Waste, you're going to want to stack it up. And then, this synergizes well with your Frozen Tempest build. So I just think this is the best build right now. So pick this talent, and then to stack your level 4 quests, you're going to want to just activate E and just walk on them, while also doing increased damage. So here it's doing 66 damage a second at cap, so I think it's a pretty good talent. I think it's the way to go for this build. So yeah, moving on. Level 16, we got Remorseless Winter, Frostmourne Feeds, and Embrace Death. I think the choice here is Remorseless Winter because you will be using your Frozen Tempest a lot, and once enemy heroes are stuck within your Frozen Tempest for 3 seconds, they are rooted for 1.25 seconds. This effect happens once every 10 seconds, so It's just more CC added on, like, you know, something you're already doing. So when you pick it, you know, you're pressing E, you're already on them. You don't even have to use your W. It just auto roots. So once they get rooted, then you can cast your W and root them again. So it's pretty nice having 2 CCs in one. So after this casts off, the 3 seconds, if you're in range of a hero, once you see this root go off, then you're going to want to use your Hauling Blast to chain CC efficiently with that ability. So I think this is the best talent in 16. This just adds another charge to your passive, which is, it's okay, but it's not as amazing. Embrace Death, I don't know. You can try Death Coil build, and maybe you can do a lot of damage with it, but I think the most value you'll get is Remorseless Winter with the Frozen Waste at level 4. Moving on, your level 20 heroics. Now, with Arthas level 20 heroics, I really love what Blizzard's doing lately is they're adding a lot of unique level 20s. It's not your Storm Shield, Rewind, and stuff like that. You get like hero unique abilities at 20, which I really like. So you got the ghouls, and then with the ghouls, you gain 3 additional ghouls, and they also heal for 50% more and last 5 seconds longer. So that means you get more healing, and you could spam them more. So if you just really need healing and they're not dying, the ghouls aren't dying from AoE, then you have more to just sustain from. So that's an okay pick. You have Death's Advance, you know, just increase movement speed by 10%, and then if you activate it, you gain 30% speed for 3 seconds. That's pretty good. Is if you're not dying a lot, if you're not taking a lot of damage, I would suggest going this, but it just really depends on how the team fights are going and stuff like that. So this is a pretty good talent as well. And then you have Anti-Magic Shell. Activating this, it'll make Arthas immune to spell damage for 3 seconds, and you heal for 25% of the damage prevented. So let's say in a team fight you get Void Prison by Zeratul, and then you see Jaina with Ring of Frost. You know, you see what's coming. So if you have Anti-Magic Shell, you just click it, and once the VP drops, you activate it, and then you take 0 damage from all the Jaina spells while also healing from it. So it's a pretty good talent. If you can see, like, you know, Ring of Frost or Pyroblast or very obvious spells coming to hit you, you just activate this and it negates all of it, and it's pretty good value. 60-second cooldown, that's basically another heroic. So out of the level 20s, it really depends on what they have. If they have a lot of spell damage, go Anti-Magic Shell. If they don't have much kill pressure, go Death's Advance. This is just all around okay. If you're not sure about these two, you're okay, perfectly okay just taking the ghouls. And no matter what, I think all 3 of these 20s will get good value. Now that we have discussed Arthas' abilities and talents builds, we're going to jump right in and look at a replay here. And I'm going to basically show you what you need to be doing as Arthas and as a warrior in general. So before we start this clip, we want to look at the minimap here. We have 0 vision on where the enemy is, and it is basically the tank's job to figure out where exactly they are. So here in this clip, before we move forward, you see my positioning here. I'm the most aggressive into the fog. No one else is even close. Yeah, they're just spawning, but no one has any ideas. So the likely guesses when enemies are missing are going to be, you know, either up here or somewhere down here. So me as a tank, you know, I'm going to start scouting for my team, and we're going to see where they are. So we're going to start rolling this clip. And here I spot Muradin, so that gives an idea to my team that, you know, they're all around our camp. They have to be hovering around this area. So we roll the clip. You see Arthas battling out with Muradin, and then you could see I land a root on Vala, but then there's also a skirmish up here. As Arthas, your main target is going to be this Vala, but while Muradin's in the way, you can still do some decent damage against him. but your main focus and eyes are going to be the carries who auto attack a lot. So right here I have my eyes on Vala, so I'm going to be pressuring Vala a bit, and right now I see that I am pretty much alone without my support. My support is over here helping the other side of the fight. So while I'm dropping low and Muradin and Vala are hitting me, but at least I have Falstead, I start popping Army of the Dead to start healing myself up, and then I death coil myself. So right here, you're going to want to sustain and tank while being a presence. So this is the fun part of Arthas, is once you have the momentum in a team fight, you're going to start snowballing and chasing if possible. So right here, you sustained yourself a lot with the army, which allows you to continue moving forward. So you press your E, which is your slow, and then you just start following the enemy. So you start following them, they're slowed for even longer for your team to catch up on them. And yeah, that's a pretty good example of what your positioning should look like in a team fight and pretty much what your goals are, which mainly you're going to want to be on the squishies at all times. In this next clip, I will show you exactly how much pressure a well-played Arthas can put on the enemy's backline, and what you should be doing in team fights whenever you get the opportunity. So right here, we're waiting for a team fight. We're basically just hiding for wait to see where the enemy responds to on the map. So we're just hiding, and quickly we see that their team's stepping up. Saul misses a bomb, pretty good. So I immediately put on my E, I pop army, and I just start walking at the Vala. There's something else happening over there, but my main objective, my goal, is to zone while also putting a lot of pressure on their team. So right here, Vala's my closest target. We damaged Muradin enough to where he can't play as much in the front, so he's retreating. So right now we got Vala and then Zarya, Brightwing all in the front, which is generally all besides Zarya. They don't want to be in this position, but since we've pressured them so hard with our team comp and then having Arthas as a presence, you know, this allows us to, you know, show the power of what Arthas can do. So we root Vala with the passive E, and then since she got rooted from that first one, she vaults away, but luckily we have Howling Blast up. So I land that root while still having Frozen Tempest on. You death coil, and then you get an auto attack, and then you press your passive, and you get another reset, and then boom, Vala just gets deleted. So that's a good example of how much pressure, you know, even as a tank being Arthas, like how much he can do against a squishy if he's uncontested. So right there, the Vala was pretty much getting pressured, and she didn't have that much health. And yeah, with all of Arthas' abilities, you know, he can do a lot of pressure onto the back line, while also, you know, he can also peel for your front line if needed. But a main focus with Arthas is you want to pressure the back line so they don't do that much in a team fight. In this clip, I will show you how to punish enemy heroes for overextending or getting caught out of position. So here, we're on Tomb of the Spider Queen, a heavily rotated map, and I see down here that my team's getting engaged on. You see a Nubrak burrowing in, and I'm coming down to, you know, try and help out. So here, I see a Nubrak burrowed in, so that's his only escape, so I press my Frozen Tempest, start applying the slow, and I root him with Howling Blast. So I just stick on him with my Frozen Tempest on, and I'm hoping my team auto attacks him, so that adds a lot of pressure, and we end up getting that kill. So that shows if an enemy hero uses his escape ability to engage, if Arthas is around, he can definitely put a lot of pressure in. So here, another opportunity. I see it's Cattle on Greymane overextending middle, trying to get a kill. So I rotate down. I put on my Frozen Waste. I see he's damaged and slowed. So a trick you want to use with your Howling Blast is you see Greymane here in Worgen form. His only option he can't go through up here because I'm already blocking this way. if he rolls down, he puts himself farther away from his own base. So his only option is to basically roll through this section. So if you can see what the enemy team is looking for in terms of escaping and predict where they're going to go, you can secure the kills with a nicely timed hauling blast. So here we show Greymane did exactly what I said. You know, his only escape option is to rolling through here. So you just time a route down where he's gonna roll, and then you can punish that. So we pick up that kill as well. So Arthas is definitely a huge bully when it comes to enemy teams overextending and being too far out on the map. Because once he sticks on you, it's really hard to get away from Arthas. So hope that shows like the dominance of what Arthas can do and how to punish enemy heroes with him. In this next clip, I'll be explaining something maybe you shouldn't be doing that I accidentally have done here. Now, when you play as a warrior, you're gonna always wanna position in bushes. You don't wanna, you know, expose yourself in the lanes unless you have to soak it for experience. But in general, as a warrior, you're going to be wanting to hide in bushes while giving vision to your teammates. So right here in this clip, I decided to camp in this bush just to see who rotates through here, to see maybe if they go and take their camp. So here's the risky part of doing this when you don't have an escape. So I'm positioned here. I see Leo's rotating up. So I just, like, I'm not thinking it's a big deal. It's one hero, so, but then he decides to entomb me, and then Arthas rotated from middle. That's bad on my part for not watching him rotate. So as I get entombed here and drained from Leoric, you know, I start to panic. I press ghouls. I try and survive, but with nicely calculated chromie spells that also land on Arthas, you know, it just goes downhill from here. Suddenly, when I thought I was being secret and a ninja, suddenly there is 5 heroes on top of me. So, ripperonis, and be sure not to do that, and only do that if you're Muradin or ETC with an escape. In this last clip, I will show you how to get absolutely bodied as Arthas, and to show you that he can definitely be dealt with if you play properly against him. So here, I'm defending against a Punisher that's rolling into our base. You know, when you're as Arthas, you think you're really strong, you're not going to really die. So right now, Chromie decides to put her slowing sands in my gate, so that's already cutting me off from my retreat. So it was already a mistake on my part to come out from the gates when, you know, everyone else is inside and they're all already out here. So, you know, you're out here, then suddenly you get Leoric drained, and then Monk decided to go 7-sided strike, so that deals a ton of damage to a tank who is alone on his side. So I'm getting bursted down, then Entomb pops out. Luckily, my Rhaegar skillfully times the Ancestor healing on me, so that saves me for now. But then suddenly, yeah, John Cena says, no, 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 you gotta go down. So right there, I get Arthas swapped backwards into a Chromie time trap. So this basically spells death for you. So with tools like that, Arthas definitely isn't indestructible. He is mortal. He can be destroyed. So just be sure, you know, if you see an Arthas in the draft, that you draft properly against him, and tools like things like 7-sided and even Arthas, like swapping, can put him in a bad position, and you get an easy 7-sided strike on him. And I think right now in the meta, Leoric is definitely pretty good against Arthas, but it can go both ways. So yeah, don't get bodied like I did, and you will do fine. Thanks for watching my first ever guide in Heroes featuring Arthas. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at FuryHots, and later on I will be doing more votes to see what guide I should make on next warrior. So be sure to check me out on Twitter. If you have any more questions, you can tweet at me and I will be happy to help. So until then, See you later.